The mysterious encounter. The Galactic Assembly Chamber buzzed with muted conversation as representatives from 100 species gathered to discuss the latest border conflicts. Each being, dressed in the elaborate ceremonial garb of their homeworlds, spoke in calm, calculated tones, their emotions carefully hidden. It was a hallmark of interstellar diplomacy, logic over emotion, reason above chaos. Suddenly, a piercing alarm shattered the room's solemn atmosphere. A holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber, projecting a shaky, grainy transmission. It was from an alien research vessel stationed near the edges of the Perseus Veil, a remote and unexplored part of the galaxy. This is the exploratory vessel Ilarak. We have encountered an anomaly on the planet designated VX-919, requesting immediate assistance. The voice trembled, an unusual break from the usual monotone professionalism of interstellar scientists. The image sharpened, revealing a scene that sent a ripple of unease through the assembly. A group of humans, entirely nude, stood in the middle of an alien meadow. They appeared unarmed, their expressions calm and serene. Yet there was something profoundly unsettling about them. The lead scientist's voice cracked as they continued. "We can't explain it. But these humans, they're affecting us. We can't focus. It's almost impossible to stay calm around them. The transmission cut out abruptly, leaving the room in stunned silence. For a moment, no one spoke. Then murmurs began to spread like wildfire, breaking the fragile peace. Humans were a known species, unremarkable by most accounts. They were adaptable, resilient, but hardly a threat to the galaxy's major powers. So why would a small group of them, devoid of weapons or technology, reduce a team of trained scientists to fear and confusion? "I propose we investigate," said Councillor Merox, a tall, insectoid representative from the Gorleth Coalition. Her multifaceted eyes reflected the hologram's lingering image. "If this phenomenon can destabilize even a research crew, it could pose a danger to us all." Councillor Varric, a reptilian figure with emerald scales, hissed in disagreement. "Or it could be a mere anomaly, a localized effect. Humans are primitive compared to us. Sending a team would be a waste of resources." But the murmurs grew louder, and the assembly's curiosity outweighed Varric's skepticism. After a brief vote, the decision was made. An elite investigation team would be dispatched to VX-919 immediately to uncover the truth. Aboard the Stellar Vanguard, the chosen team prepared for their descent. Commander Zelvar, a seasoned operative with cybernetic implants that gave him an unshakable demeanor, briefed his crew. "Our mission is to determine the nature of the humans' effect on the researchers and assess any potential threat to the galaxy. Stay alert, stay logical. Whatever happens down there, we are professionals." "Understood." A chorus of affirmations followed, though the tension in the room was palpable. Many of the crew had watched the transmission and felt an unease they couldn't explain. Even Zelvar, with all his enhancements, felt a nagging sense of dread he couldn't ignore. As the Stellar Vanguard descended through the planet's atmosphere, the crew observed the landscape below. A lush, vibrant world teeming with life. It looked peaceful, almost idyllic, but something about its stillness felt unnatural. The ship landed near the coordinates provided by the Ilarak before their signal went dark. The team exited cautiously, their scanners sweeping the area for signs of danger. The meadow stretched before them, dotted with colorful flora that shimmered under the planet's twin suns. And then they saw them. The humans stood in a loose circle, their bare skin glowing faintly in the sunlight. They were perfectly still, their faces serene, as if they were meditating or communing with the planet itself. "There's no way they're unaware of us," whispered Arak, a young technician whose feline features twitched nervously. "Our ship isn't exactly subtle." "They're ignoring us," Zelvar said, his voice steady but his eyes narrowing. "Why?" As the team approached, something strange began to happen. The air seemed heavier, charged with an invisible energy that pressed against their minds. Selvar felt his usually sharp thoughts dulling, replaced by an odd mix of emotions. Curiosity, nostalgia, even a hint of joy. Iraq stumbled, clutching his head. I feel strange, like I'm remembering something I've never experienced before. It's the humans, said Solara, the team's xenobiologist. Her voice wavered as she pointed her scanner at them. They're emitting some kind of energy field. It's affecting our neurological systems. Selvar forced himself to focus, drawing on his implants to counteract the growing haze in his mind. Everyone, fall back. We need to regroup and analyze this from a distance. But as the team retreated, one of the humans turned its head, locking eyes with Selvar. For a brief moment, he felt an overwhelming wave of calm wash over him, like a warm embrace. And then, just as quickly, it was gone. The commander shuddered, his grip tightening on his weapon. This is no ordinary anomaly, he muttered. Whatever these humans are, they're more dangerous than they look. The team retreated to their ship, their minds racing with questions. Who were these humans? What was the source of their power? And most importantly, why did they feel so impossible to resist? The answers would have to wait, but one thing was clear. Vivex 919 was no ordinary planet, and the humans were no ordinary species. Arrival on the planet. The stellar vanguard hovered above the surface of VX 919, its shadow stretching across the lush landscape below. From the observation deck, Commander Selvar and his team gazed down at the alien world. The vibrant greens and blues of the planet were strangely calming, yet the unease in the pit of their stomachs refused to dissipate. Scans are clear, reported Solara, the xenobiologist, her voice tinged with uncertainty. No hostile life forms detected. Atmosphere is breathable, gravity within tolerable limits. Selvar nodded but remained cautious. Scans won't show us what's affecting the humans, or us. Stay alert. The shuttle carrying the team detached from the vanguard and descended. As it broke through the clouds, the meadow came into view. A surreal expanse of shimmering grass and flowers that seemed to sway without wind. In the distance, the figures of the humans were visible, standing motionless like statues. The shuttle landed gently, its engines kicking up a soft ripple through the grass. The team exited in formation, weapons drawn but lowered. Their suits, though lightweight, were equipped with sensors to monitor their vitals. It didn't take long for the first anomalies to appear. The air around them was unnaturally still, yet it hummed with a faint vibration that wasn't audible but felt through the skin. Selvar adjusted his helmet's filters, but the sensation persisted. "Commander," said Iraq, the young technician, his feline ears twitching. "I'm picking up faint energy signatures. They're not mechanical, not electromagnetic. Something else entirely." "Define something else." Selvar pressed, scanning the horizon. I don't know," Iraq admitted, frustration in his voice. "It's almost like it's alive. The energy isn't static, it's shifting, adapting." As they moved closer to the humans, the effects grew stronger. The strange vibration in the air deepened, resonating within their minds. Solara gasped, clutching her chest. "Are you all right?" Selvar asked, his voice sharp. "It's not pain," Solara said, her eyes wide. "It's emotion. I feel peaceful, but also sad, like I'm remembering something I've lost. It's overwhelming." Before Selvar could respond, one of the humans turned toward them. The movement was slow, deliberate, yet it sent a jolt of fear through the team. The human's eyes were bright and unblinking, filled with an unnatural calm that seemed almost predatory. "They're aware of us now," Iraq whispered, his voice trembling. The human raised a hand, not in a gesture of aggression, but as if reaching out to them. The simple act sent waves of energy rippling through the team, intensifying the emotions already clawing at their minds. Selvar felt his usual resolve falter as memories of his childhood surfaced unbidden, memories he hadn't thought about in decades. "Fall back," Selvar ordered, his voice cutting through the haze. Now. The team retreated several paces, creating distance between themselves and the humans. Selvar activated his comms. Silara, give me a report. What the hell is happening to us? Silara struggled to focus, her scanner shaking in her hands. The energy field. It's not just affecting our emotions. It's tapping into our neural pathways, triggering memories, amplifying feelings. It's almost like it's rewriting how we perceive reality. Arak groaned, falling to one knee. I can't think straight. It's like they're inside my head. Selvar knelt beside him, placing a firm hand on his shoulder. Focus. Use the training. You're stronger than this. But even as he spoke, Selvar felt the field pulling at his own mind. His cybernetic implants struggled to filter out the interference, but they could only do so much. He took a deep breath, grounding himself in the here and now. Silara, he said, his voice steady despite the storm in his head. Are they doing this on purpose? Silara hesitated, her gaze fixed on the humans. I don't think so. Their energy isn't targeted. It's more like a natural aura, but the effect is undeniable. Prolonged exposure could be dangerous, even permanent. Selvar straightened, his resolve hardening. We need answers, and we're not going to get them standing here. He motioned for the team to regroup near the shuttle. From there, they established a perimeter and began analyzing the data. Arak managed to stabilize, though he still looked shaken. Silara continued to study the energy field, her curiosity outweighing her discomfort. Commander, she said after a while, her voice laced with a mix of awe and fear. This field, it's not just affecting us. It's affecting the entire ecosystem. The plants, the air, even the microbes. It's all resonating with the same energy signature. Selvar frowned. Are you saying the humans are controlling the planet? Not controlling. Silara corrected. Harmonizing. It's like the planet is an extension of them, or they're an extension of the planet. Either way, they're deeply connected. Selvar's jaw tightened. This mission was becoming more complicated by the second. The humans weren't just an anomaly. They were something far beyond their understanding. As the twin suns began to set, casting the meadow in golden light, Selvar made a decision. We're not leaving until we figure out what they are and what they want. But we proceed with caution. No more direct contact until we're better prepared. The humans remained in the distance, their serene expressions unchanging, as if they were watching and waiting. For what? Selvar couldn't say. But one thing was certain. This planet held secrets that could change everything they thought they knew about humanity and themselves. The energy field. The crew of the Stellar Vanguard worked tirelessly through the night, collecting data and attempting to unravel the mystery of the human strange energy field. The ship's scanners continued to detect the faint, pulsating signature that seemed to emanate from the humans themselves. Despite their best efforts, the crew could only scratch the surface of its complexity. Silara sat at her workstation, her usually steady hands trembling as she analyzed the data. Her xenobiological expertise was being pushed to its limits. The field wasn't just energy in the traditional sense. It was something more profound, something alive. Commander, she said, breaking the heavy silence in the room. This isn't like anything we've seen before. The field interacts directly with neural patterns, not just ours, but every living organism in its vicinity. It's as if it's sensing with us. Selvar, seated nearby, turned his gaze toward her. Sensing. Explain. Silara hesitated, searching for the right words. It's not attacking us or forcing changes. It's reading us, our emotions, our thoughts, and then amplifying them. That's why it feels so personal. Each of us experiences it differently because it's mirroring what's already inside us. Arak, who had been silent for most of the discussion, suddenly spoke up. That explains why I felt like I was remembering things from my past. It wasn't just memories. It was emotions I haven't felt in years. Regret, joy, even love. He looked away, embarrassed by his own vulnerability. Selvar's brow furrowed. His cybernetic implants had shielded him from the worst of the effects, but even he couldn't deny the subtle pull of the field. It was like standing on the edge of a vast ocean, feeling the tide tug at his feet, inviting him to wade deeper. "What's the source?" he asked. Solara shook her head. "I don't know. The humans are the epicenter, but they're not generating the energy, not entirely. It's more like they're conduits. The planet itself might be the true source." "The planet," Selvar repeated, his voice laced with skepticism. Solara nodded. "Look at the flora and fauna. The plants shimmer with the same energy signature. The animals we've observed, small, harmless creatures, move in perfect harmony with the environment. It's as if everything here is part of a single, interconnected system. The humans are just the most obvious manifestation of it." Before Selvar could respond, the ship's alarm blared, signaling an incoming message. A hologram of the Vanguard's AI, an androgynous figure of shimmering light, appeared in the center of the room. "Commander Selvar," the AI said, its tone calm yet urgent. "Unusual activity detected at the humans' location. Their energy output is increasing exponentially." Selvar stood immediately. "What kind of activity?" The AI hesitated, as if uncertain how to phrase its response. "The humans appear to be meditating, but the energy field is expanding and intensifying. If the growth continues at this rate, it will envelop the entire valley within hours." The team exchanged uneasy glances. "Solara, Arak, gear up," Selvar ordered. "We're going back out there. I want answers, and I want them now." The valley was bathed in a soft, golden light as the team approached the humans once more. This time, the field's presence was undeniable, pressing against their minds like a persistent tide. The air seemed to hum with an otherworldly resonance, making it difficult to think clearly. The humans sat in a perfect circle, their eyes closed, their breathing slow and rhythmic. The energy emanating from them was almost visible now, a faint shimmering aura that pulsed in sync with an inaudible rhythm. Selvar raised his hand, signaling the team to stop. "Keep your distance," he said, his voice steady despite the growing pressure in his head. Solara activated her scanner, her eyes narrowing as she studied the readings. "It's incredible," she murmured. "Their neural activity is off the charts, but it's not chaotic. It's coordinated, like they're part of a hive mind." "A hive mind," Selvar repeated. "Not in the traditional sense," Solara clarified. "They're individuals, but their minds are linked somehow, sharing thoughts and emotions. It's as if they're one consciousness spread across multiple bodies." Arak crouched beside her, his feline ears twitching. "If they're linked, does that mean they know we're here? That they're aware of everything we're doing?" "Most likely," Solara said. Selvar studied the humans, his instincts screaming at him to retreat, yet his curiosity overpowered his caution. He took a step forward, then another, until he was close enough to feel the full force of the field. It was like standing in the eye of a storm, calm on the surface, but with an overwhelming energy swirling all around him. One of the humans opened their eyes. Selvar froze as the human locked eyes with him. In that moment, he felt a flood of emotions. Joy, sorrow, love, fear, all colliding in a chaotic symphony. But beneath it all was a single, undeniable truth. The human was trying to communicate. The human's lips moved, but no sound came out. Instead, Selvar heard a voice inside his head, soft yet commanding. "We are not a threat," the voice said. "We are the bridge." "The bridge to what?" Selvar asked aloud, his voice trembling. "To understanding," the voice replied. Before Selvar could ask more, the human closed their eyes again, and the connection was severed. Selvar stumbled back, his breath coming in ragged gasps. "What happened?" Solara asked, rushing to his side. "They spoke to me," Selvar said, his voice barely above a whisper, "not with words, but with thoughts. They called themselves the Bridge. Silara and Arak exchanged worried glances. "What does that mean?" Arak asked. Zelvar shook his head. "I don't know. But one thing is clear. This isn't just about humans or this planet. Whatever this is, it's bigger than all of us." The team retreated to the ship once more, their minds racing with questions. The energy field continued to expand, its glow visible even from orbit. And as they watched, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of a revelation that could change the galaxy forever. The first contact. The Stellar Vanguard stood silent against the backdrop of VX-919's alien twilight. The golden glow of the expanding energy field painted the horizon, casting eerie, elongated shadows across the meadow. Inside the ship, Commander Zelvar and his team prepared for their boldest move yet: direct communication with the humans. The cryptic phrase, "We are the Bridge," echoed in Zelvar's mind, urging him to seek answers, no matter the cost. Silara adjusted her neural stabilizer, a hastily engineered device meant to shield her from the overwhelming effects of the field. Arak fidgeted with his gear, clearly uncomfortable but resolute. "Commander," he said, his feline eyes narrowed with apprehension, "do we really have to get that close? You felt what it did to you. What if it's worse this time?" "We have no choice," Zelvar replied firmly. "They're trying to communicate, and we can't afford to ignore them. If they're a threat, we need to know. If they're not, we need to understand why they're here and what they want." Silara nodded, her scanner in hand. "The field is growing stronger. Whatever's happening, it's accelerating. We need answers before it reaches a tipping point." The team descended into the valley once again, their movements slow and deliberate. This time, they carried no visible weapons, a calculated risk to appear non-hostile. The humans were still seated in their meditative circle, their serene expressions unchanged. Yet, the energy field felt different, more concentrated, almost alive. As the team approached, one of the humans stood, a male, tall and lean, with an aura of calm that seemed to ripple outward. He raised a hand, palm outward, a gesture that could be interpreted as a greeting or a warning. "Hold your positions," Zelvar ordered, though his voice was softer than usual. He stepped forward cautiously, his every instinct screaming at him to retreat. But he forced himself to focus. "We come in peace," he said aloud, knowing the humans likely didn't understand their language, but hoping the intent would be clear. The standing human tilted his head slightly, as if considering Zelvar's words. Then, without moving his lips, a voice echoed in the minds of the entire team. "Peace is the essence of connection. You seek understanding. We offer it." The voice was calm, almost soothing, yet it carried an otherworldly weight that made Zelvar shiver. He glanced at Silara, whose wide eyes confirmed she'd heard it too. Arak looked stunned, his ears flat against his head. Zelvar cleared his throat, trying to steady himself. "Who are you? What is this field you're generating?" The human's eyes seemed to glow faintly as the voice answered. "We are the Bridge. The energy you perceive is not ours alone. It is the voice of the planet, of all life here. We amplify it, channel it. It is the essence of connection, of empathy." "Connection?" Silara asked, stepping forward despite the commander's warning look. "You mean this field, this energy? It's a way to link minds." The human nodded, though his expression remained unchanged. "Not just minds. Souls. It is a harmony that transcends individuality, a unity that reveals truth." Arak's voice was edged with suspicion as he spoke. "If it's so harmless, why does it feel so overwhelming? Why does it make us relive things we don't want to remember?" The human's gaze shifted to Arak, and the voice softened. "What you feel is the weight of your own essence. The field does not impose, it reveals. What lies within you is brought to the surface, unfiltered and undeniable. Fear, joy, love, regret, they are all part of your truth." Zelvar clenched his fists. And what's the purpose of all this? Why are you here on this planet doing this? For the first time, the human's serene expression shifted, a flicker of something that might have been sorrow crossing his face. We are here because we must be. Long ago, we were created to ensure that understanding endures. When conflict arises, when chaos threatens, we are the bridge that unites. This is our purpose. The words hung heavy in the air, and Selvar felt a chill run down his spine. Created by who? The human's gaze turned upward, as if looking beyond the sky itself. By those who came before. Their name is lost, but their intent remains. We are their gift and their warning. Selara's hands trembled as she clutched her scanner. Are you saying you were engineered? That you're not natural humans? The human inclined his head slightly. We are as natural as the soil and the stars. But we were guided, shaped, given purpose, just as you are shaped by the choices of those who came before you. Before Selvar could ask more, the human stepped back, rejoining the circle. The others opened their eyes simultaneously, their collective gaze fixed on the team. The energy field pulsed, brighter and stronger, and for a moment, Selvar felt as if the weight of the galaxy itself was pressing down on him. You must decide, the voice said, now resonating from all the humans at once. Will you embrace the connection, or will you fear it? The bridge cannot be forced. It must be crossed willingly. The humans closed their eyes again, and the field's intensity began to stabilize. The team staggered back, their minds reeling from the encounter. Back on the ship, Selvar paced the command room, his thoughts racing. They're not just humans. They're something else, something designed to influence others. If what they're saying is true, this field could unite entire civilizations, or it could destroy them. Selara sat nearby, still processing the data. But they're not using it as a weapon. They're offering it as a choice. That's what makes it so unsettling. Arak shook his head. It's too much power for one species to wield, no matter how peaceful they seem. Selvar stopped pacing, his gaze hard. Then the question is, do we trust them? And if we do, what comes next? The energy field continued to expand, its golden glow a constant reminder that time was running out. The team had made contact, but the true test was yet to come. Would they cross the bridge, or destroy it? The hidden agenda. The stellar vanguard hung in low orbit above VX 919, its sleek silhouette contrasting against the planet's vibrant hues. In the command room, the tension was palpable. Commander Selvar leaned over the holographic table, his eyes scanning the data that Selara had painstakingly compiled. Every second felt like a step closer to unraveling a truth that could reshape the galaxy, or destroy it. Selara broke the silence. Commander, we've decoded fragments of an old archive buried deep in the energy signatures. It's not from the humans. It's from something older. Selvar's sharp gaze snapped to her. Older. Define older. Precursor level, Selara replied, her voice low. This field isn't just an evolutionary accident or some kind of advanced technology. It's part of a system left behind by an ancient civilization. The humans here are integrated into it, but they're not its creators. They're its caretakers, or perhaps its tools. Arak, sitting across from them, folded his arms. So we're dealing with a dead civilization's leftover experiment. That doesn't make this any less dangerous. Selara shook her head. It's not just an experiment. The archive hints at a purpose. The field, the humans, the connection. It's all designed to respond to conflict. When species reach a breaking point, war, collapse, extinction, this system activates. It unifies them, forcing a level of empathy that makes division impossible. Selvar frowned. And what happens if they resist? Selara hesitated, her eyes darting to the holographic display. The archive is incomplete, but there are warnings. If the connection fails, the field's amplification doesn't stop. Instead of unity, it could lead to mass neural overload. Essentially, a complete breakdown of the affected minds. Arak's ears flattened, and he hissed in frustration. So it's an all-or-nothing gamble. Either it brings peace, or it wipes out everyone it touches. That's not a gift. It's a loaded weapon. Back on the planet, the team ventured into the valley again, this time following the energy source. The humans remained in their meditative state, unmoving as the team passed. The deeper they went, the more intense the energy field became, pressing against their minds and bodies like a physical force. They reached a cavern entrance, hidden beneath a canopy of shimmering trees. The ground around it pulsed faintly with golden light, as if the planet itself was breathing. Selvar led the way, his weapon at the ready despite the peaceful surroundings. Inside the cavern, the walls glowed with ancient symbols that none of their translators could decipher. The air was thick with the hum of the energy field, making every step feel heavier. At the center of the cavern was a massive, crystalline structure, pulsating in perfect rhythm with the human's energy. Selara's scanner went wild. "This is it," she said, awe in her voice. "This is the source." Selvar approached cautiously. The closer he got, the clearer his thoughts became, not muddled like before, but sharper, more focused. It was as if the energy wasn't just affecting his mind. It was enhancing it. "This is no ordinary artifact," Selvar said, his voice echoing in the cavern. "It's alive, isn't it?" Selara nodded. "Not alive in the biological sense, but it's definitely sentient, or at least semi-sentient. It's the core of the entire system, the thing amplifying the human's energy. Without it, none of this would work." Arak stayed near the entrance, his nerves clearly frayed. "So what's it doing now? Why is it active?" Selara glanced at her scanner. "It's responding to us. Our presence, our emotions. It's reading everything about us and adjusting the field accordingly. This isn't just a machine. It's an interface for understanding." Selvar stared at the crystalline structure, his mind racing. If this is the core, then the humans aren't just conduits. They're part of the system, extensions of it. But why? Why humans? Selara hesitated. Humans have always been uniquely adaptable, emotionally and mentally. They're one of the few species capable of thriving in wildly different environments. It's possible the precursors chose them because of this adaptability, because they could handle the strain of the connection. Suddenly, the cavern trembled, and the crystalline structure brightened. A voice, deep and resonant, filled the air. It wasn't coming from the humans or the team. It was emanating directly from the core. "The bridge is tested. The choice is near. Unity or oblivion." The team froze, the weight of the words sinking in. Arak's tail twitched nervously. "What the hell does that mean?" "It means we're at the tipping point," Selara said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The system is waking up, and it's waiting for us to decide." Selvar clenched his fists. "Decide what?" Before Selara could respond, the crystalline structure emitted a wave of energy that washed over the team. In an instant, their minds were flooded with images, wars, devastation, civilizations tearing themselves apart. But interspersed with the chaos were moments of unity, enemies becoming allies, fractured worlds rebuilding, species thriving together. The voice spoke again, more insistent this time. "The bridge is fragile. The burden is heavy, but only together can it endure." The team staggered out of the cavern, their minds reeling from the experience. The humans were waiting for them outside, their serene expressions unchanged. The energy field felt different now, more purposeful, almost as if it were watching them. Selvar turned to his team. "We've seen what this thing can do. It's not just a tool for peace, it's a weapon against division. But if it fails," Selara nodded grimly, "if it fails, it's the end of us." Arak's voice was bitter. "So we're supposed to gamble everything on this. Trust that this ancient system won't backfire and wipe us all out." Selvar looked back at the humans, their calm presence both unnerving and comforting. "We don't have a choice. Whatever this is, it's bigger than us. But we need to make sure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. The decision weighed heavily on them as they returned to the ship. The crystal's voice echoed in Selvar's mind, a constant reminder of the stakes. The bridge was fragile, and the burden was heavy, but it was a burden they couldn't ignore. The truth revealed. The command room of the Stellar Vanguard was tense as Commander Selvar and his team gathered to review their findings. The glowing energy signatures from the planet now extended far beyond the valley, spreading across the region like golden veins. It wasn't just the humans or the core artifact. The entire planet seemed to hum with latent power. Selara's voice broke the silence as she projected the fragmented archive data onto the holographic table. "I've managed to piece together more of the precursor records," she said, her voice strained from hours of work. "And I found something critical." A series of symbols flashed across the display, translating into a sequence of words in their common tongue. The Catalyst Protocol. Empathy or extinction. Selvar's eyes narrowed. "Explain." Solara took a deep breath, her fingers trembling slightly as she expanded the data. "The humans here aren't just caretakers of the system. They're the activation key. The system's purpose is to detect widespread conflict or potential galactic collapse. When certain thresholds are met, it activates, using the humans as conduits to amplify its energy." Arak leaned forward, his feline tail flicking anxiously. "And what exactly is this energy supposed to do?" "Brainwash everyone into holding hands and singing peace songs." Solara shook her head. "It's more complex than that. The energy field forces a species, or multiple species, to experience total empathy. Every thought, every emotion, every pain or joy becomes shared. It eliminates the ability to harm one another because you feel your enemy's suffering as your own." Selvar folded his arms, his expression skeptical. "And if they resist?" Solara hesitated. "That's the part we need to worry about. If the connection fails, if the field encounters too much resistance, it destabilizes. The amplification doesn't stop. It spirals out of control, overloading every mind it touches. The result is catastrophic." Arak's eyes widened. "You're saying it could kill entire civilizations?" "Not just kill," Solara said grimly. "It would wipe out all neural function, turn entire species into husks." The realization hit the team like a punch to the gut. The stakes were higher than they'd imagined. The humans, the core, the field, it wasn't just a tool for peace. It was a razor's edge, a gamble between salvation and annihilation. "We're not dealing with a system meant to bring harmony," Arak growled. "This is a weapon, a last resort for some ancient civilization that probably destroyed itself anyway." Solara frowned. "It's not that simple. The system isn't inherently good or bad. It's a mirror reflecting back what it encounters. If those involved embrace the connection, it works. If they resist, it fails." Selvar stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "The question isn't whether the system works. The question is, what do we do about it?" Their debate was interrupted by the sudden activation of the ship's proximity alarms. The AI materialized in the room, its shimmering form pulsating with urgency. "Commander, multiple vessels have entered orbit. Their weapons are armed, and they are broadcasting demands for surrender." Selvar clenched his jaw. "Identify them." "3 ships belonging to the Krenith Dominion," the AI replied. "Their leader, High Marshal Durak, is hailing us." The Krenith Dominion was infamous across the galaxy, a brutal, militaristic empire that thrived on conquest and suppression. If they had learned about the artifact's existence, their intentions were clear: seize the system and weaponize it. The holographic display shifted to show High Marshal Durak's face, scarred, cold, and calculating. "Vanguard," he said, his voice a low growl, "you are trespassing on a planet that now belongs to the Krenith Dominion. Surrender the humans and all associated technology immediately." Selvar didn't flinch. "This planet doesn't belong to anyone, Durak." It's a relic of an ancient system, one that could destroy you as easily as it could empower you. Leave now, and you might survive." Durok's lips curled into a cruel smile. "Empty threats. We've already analyzed the field. The energy is immense but controllable, if you know how to wield it. And we will." The transmission ended abruptly as the Krynith ships began to descend toward the planet. Selvar turned to his team, his expression grim. "We don't have much time. If they take control of the system, they'll use it to subjugate the galaxy, or worse." The team returned to the planet's surface, racing against time. The energy field had grown more intense, its golden light now casting long shadows even in the daylight. The humans were still meditating in their circle, but their expressions seemed strained, as if they could sense the conflict approaching. Silara approached the humans cautiously. "We need your help," she said, her voice pleading. "If the Krynith take this planet, they'll twist the system into something monstrous." The lead human opened his eyes, the calm glow in his gaze replaced by something more urgent. "The bridge must remain intact. But the choice is not ours alone. It is yours." Selvar stepped forward. "What do you mean? How can we stop them?" The human gestured toward the cavern. "The core awaits. It will respond to your intentions, harmony or discord. The choice will shape the field's outcome." The team entered the cavern once more, the crystalline core glowing brighter than ever. Selvar placed his hand on the structure, feeling its energy surge through him. Images flooded his mind. Wars, alliances, betrayals, triumphs. The galaxy's history laid bare. Silara spoke urgently. "Commander, the core is responding to you. It's asking for direction." Selvar's voice was steady, but his heart pounded. "If we use this, we risk destabilizing it. But if we do nothing, the Krynith will take it. Either way, the galaxy could burn." The core pulsed, the voice from before resonating through the cavern. "The bridge is fragile. The burden is yours to bear." Selvar closed his eyes, the weight of the decision pressing down on him. The truth was clear now. The system wasn't just a tool or a weapon. It was a test, a mirror reflecting the intentions of those who sought to control it. As the Krynith ships descended closer, their weapons primed, Selvar made his choice. "Activate the core," he said, his voice firm. "Let the bridge stand." The core responded with a blinding surge of light, and the energy field erupted outward, encompassing the entire planet. As the wave reached the Krynith ships, their movements halted, their crews overwhelmed by the sudden influx of emotion and empathy. Selvar could only hope that the bridge would hold. The final decision. The wave of golden energy rippled outward from the crystalline core, washing over the planet and its orbiting skies. For a moment, everything seemed to stop. The hum of the energy field grew into a deep resonance, one that seemed to reverberate not only through the air, but through the very minds of those it touched. Commander Xelvar stood at the edge of the cavern, his hand still resting on the pulsating crystal. His team surrounded him, their faces illuminated by the radiant light. Outside, the Krynith ships hung suspended in the field, their weapons inactive, their crews frozen in stunned silence. The human emissary who had spoken to them earlier appeared at the cavern entrance, his serene demeanor now replaced with a mix of urgency and resolve. "The bridge has been activated," he said, his voice resonating in their minds. "Now the galaxy must decide whether to embrace it or resist." Inside the Krynith flagship, High Marshal Durok gripped the arms of his command chair, his expression twisted in anger and confusion. He could feel the energy pressing into his thoughts, dredging up emotions he had buried long ago. Pain, fear, loss. The memories of his first battle, of the comrades he had lost, of the family he had abandoned for power, all surged to the forefront of his mind. "What is this?" Durok growled, his voice trembling with uncharacteristic emotion. "What have they done?" The crew around him were similarly affected. Hardened warriors sobbed openly, their hands shaking as they stared at the consoles before them. Others dropped to their knees, overwhelmed by the sheer intensity of the field's influence. Duroc slammed his fist against the armrest. "Shut it out. Fight it." But even as he shouted, he felt the field piercing through his defenses, forcing him to confront the truth of his actions. Back on the planet, Selvar turned to Solara, who was watching the energy field with wide eyes. "What's happening?" he asked. Solara studied her scanner, her voice unsteady. "The field, it's working exactly as the archive described. It's creating a shared emotional and mental connection. Every being it touches is forced to experience the thoughts and feelings of others. There's no way to lie, no way to hide." Selvar's jaw tightened. "And what happens if they reject it?" Solara hesitated. "If their minds can't handle the connection, the field could destabilize. It might amplify their resistance until it overloads. That's the risk we're taking." Arak, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up. "Commander, I don't like this. This isn't peace. It's coercion. Forcing people to feel something isn't the same as making them understand." Selvar turned to him, his expression grim. "What would you have me do? Let the Krenith take this system. Let them use it to enslave the galaxy. This isn't about what's ideal. It's about survival." Arak's tail flicked in agitation, but he said nothing more. As the field expanded further, it reached the far edges of the X-919 system, touching fleets, outposts, and colonies that had no idea what was coming. Across the galaxy, messages began flooding in, reports of strange phenomena, of entire populations experiencing a sudden and overwhelming sense of connection. On one world, a warlord dropped his weapon, tears streaming down his face as he felt the fear and pain of the villagers he had been about to conquer. On another, two rival factions called for a truce, their leaders suddenly understanding the depth of the suffering they had caused each other. But not all reactions were peaceful. On a mining colony ruled by corporate overlords, the workers' shared fury at their exploitation erupted into violence. And on a distant Krenith-controlled planet, the resistance to the field led to mass chaos as individuals fought desperately to block out the emotions flooding their minds. Inside the cavern, the core's pulsations grew erratic, its light flickering like a failing star. The human emissary stepped forward, his calm voice cutting through the tension. "The bridge is fragile. The burden of connection weighs heavily. Many will resist, and the core's balance will be tested." Selvar turned to him, his frustration boiling over. What happens if it fails? What happens if they resist too much? The human met his gaze, his expression unreadable. If the connection collapses, the energy will consume itself. It will end all resistance, but at the cost of all life it touches. Solara's scanner beeped in warning, and she looked up in alarm. "Commander, the core is destabilizing. There's too much resistance. It's starting to overload." Selvar's mind raced. He had made his choice to activate the bridge, but now the consequences threatened to spiral out of control. "How do we stop it?" he demanded. "The bridge can only stand if guided by those who embrace its purpose," the human replied. "You must anchor it, Commander. Your resolve must outweigh the resistance." Selvar stepped closer to the core, feeling its energy pulse in rhythm with his own thoughts. He closed his eyes, focusing on the memories and emotions the field had stirred within him, the pain of loss, the hope for unity, the desire for a galaxy free from fear and oppression. Slowly, the core's pulsations steadied, its light growing brighter and more stable. Solara gasped. "It's working. The field is stabilizing." High above the planet, the Krenith ships began to withdraw, their crews unable to withstand the field's effects. On the flagship, Duroc slumped in his chair, his defiance replaced with a haunting sense of remorse. "Retreat," he muttered, his voice hollow. "This is a battle we cannot win." As the Krenith forces fled, the energy field reached its apex, bathing the galaxy in its golden glow. For a brief moment, every being it touched felt the weight of their shared existence, the pain, the joy, the hope, and the fear. And in that moment, The galaxy seemed to breathe as one. Back in the cavern, the core dimmed, its energy retreating to a steady hum. The human emissary turned to Selvar, his expression serene once more. The bridge stands, but its strength depends on those who choose to cross it. The choice remains yours. Selvar exhaled deeply, his body and mind exhausted. He turned to his team, his voice steady but soft. We've bought the galaxy time. What happens next? That's up to them. As the stellar vanguard lifted off from VX 919, leaving the humans and their mysterious system behind, Selvar couldn't shake the weight of what they had witnessed. The bridge was fragile, and the galaxy was vast. But for the first time in centuries, there was hope. And sometimes, hope was enough.